10 transgender celebrities you won't believe were born male, then and now. What if the person the world knows today had to fight for years just to be seen, heard, and accepted for who they truly are? From Laverne Cox and Michaela J. Rodriguez to Jeanette Mock, Dominique Jackson, and Isis King. These transgender celebrities have experienced extraordinary journeys before reaching the spotlight. Some broke television barriers, others made history on Broadway in fashion and behind the camera. But every path came with challenges most audiences never witnessed, and some of their then and now stories may genuinely surprise you. Stay until the end to discover all 10 journeys. Before we begin, subscribe to Remembered Lives channel, hit the like button and comment below. Which celebrity's transformation and journey inspires you the most? Laverne Cox. At 54 years old in 2026, Laverne Cox stands as one of the most influential transgender performers in modern American entertainment. Born in Mobile, Alabama in 1972, Cox has spoken openly about being assigned male at birth and experiencing bullying and isolation while growing up. Performing became an important outlet. After studying at Indiana University, Bloomington, and later transferring to Marymount Manhattan College in New York, she pursued acting at a time when transgender performers rarely received substantial opportunities in mainstream television. Everything changed with Netflix's Orange is the New Black. Beginning in 2013, Cox portrayed Sophia Bursay, a transgender woman incarcerated at Litchfield Penitentiary. Rather than treating Sophia simply as a symbol, the series gave her relationships, ambitions, vulnerabilities, and conflicts. Cox's performance earned widespread recognition, and in 2014, she became the first openly transgender person nominated for a Primetime Emmy Award in an acting category. That same year, she became the first openly transgender person to appear on the cover of Time magazine. The transcript correctly identifies these achievements as major milestones in transgender representation. Her influence soon extended beyond acting. Cox executive produced the documentary Laverne Cox Presents the T-Word, which followed the experiences of transgender young people, and won a Daytime Emmy Award. She later appeared in productions including the Rocky Horror Picture Show, Let's Do the Time Warp Again, Promising Young Woman, and Inventing Anna. But Cox's journey has never been merely a dramatic before and after transformation. She has repeatedly emphasized that transgender people should be understood as complete human beings, rather than reduced to their physical transitions. Now in her 50s, Cox has witnessed an extraordinary cultural shift since her childhood in Alabama. Her appearance has evolved, her career has expanded, and Hollywood itself has changed around her. The most remarkable transformation may therefore be larger than one person. Laverne Cox helped change who audiences were willing to see as a leading voice in American entertainment. Michaela J. Rodriguez. At 35 years old in 2026, Michaela J. Rodriguez represents a generation of performers who helped transform transgender visibility from occasional representation into genuine leading roles. Born in Newark, New Jersey in 1991, Rodriguez was assigned male at birth and has spoken publicly about recognizing her female identity from a young age. Performance became an important avenue for expressing herself, and she eventually studied at Berklee College of Music before building a professional career in theater. An early breakthrough came with the stage musical Rent, where Rodriguez played Angel. But television changed everything. In 2018, she was cast as Blanca Evangelista in FX's Pose, a groundbreaking drama centered on New York's ballroom culture during the 1980s and 1990s. Blanca was compassionate, yet fiercely determined, creating her own ballroom house while confronting discrimination, family conflict, and HIV. The transcript correctly identifies Pose as the role that brought Rodriguez widespread recognition. Her performance produced historic milestones. In 2021, Rodriguez became the first openly transgender performer nominated for a Primetime Emmy in a major acting category. In January 2022, she went further, winning the Golden Globe for Best Actress in a Television Series Drama for Pose, becoming the first transgender actor to win a Golden Globe. Rodriguez also refused to let one groundbreaking role define her career. She pursued music, appeared in Tick Tick Boom, and later starred opposite Maya Rudolph in the Apple TV Plus comedy Loot, demonstrating a lighter side of her acting range. For a then and now story, Rodriguez's transformation should not be reduced to physical appearance. the more meaningful evolution happened professionally, from a young performer searching for opportunities to an award-winning actress, occupying spaces that transgender performers had historically been denied. Her journey reflects personal courage, but also a changing Hollywood. Rodriguez didn't simply find her place within entertainment, she helped expand what that place could look like. Janet Mock. At 43 years old in 2026, Janet Mock has built an extraordinary career by transforming personal experience into storytelling, journalism, and television. Born in Honolulu, Hawaii in 1983, Mock was assigned male at birth and began expressing her female identity while young. She has written openly about transitioning during adolescence, experiences that later became central to her work as an author and advocate. Long before Hollywood recognized her name, Mock pursued journalism. She graduated from the University of Hawaii at Manoa, and later earned a master's degree in journalism from New York University. She worked at People magazine before publicly sharing her story in a 2011 Marie Claire article. That decision dramatically changed the direction of her public life. Her 2018 memoir Redefining Realness became a New York Times bestseller. Rather than presenting transition as a simple before and after spectacle, Mock wrote about family, race, poverty, identity, relationships, and the complicated realities surrounding her adolescence. She followed it with surpassing certainty in 2017, exploring her experiences as a young adult. Mock later made history behind the camera. Her work on FX's Pose brought her into television as a writer, director, and producer. The transcript highlights that achievement and her broader influence on transgender representation. In 2018, she became the first transgender woman of color to write and direct an episode of television, an important milestone in an industry where transgender voices had historically been excluded from controlling their own narratives. Her influence eventually expanded through a major overall deal with Netflix announced in 2019, another groundbreaking achievement. Janet Mock's then and now journey, therefore, isn't simply about how she looked before transition compared with today. It is about gaining control over the story itself. Once someone whose experiences could easily have been interpreted by outsiders, Mock became the writer, director, and producer, deciding how stories like hers would finally be told. Dominique Jackson. Dominique Jackson's journey from the Caribbean to international television is one of the most dramatic stories among the stars of Pose. Born in Trinidad and Tobago in 1975, Jackson was assigned male at birth and has spoken about experiencing severe rejection, discrimination, and violence while growing up. Eventually leaving Trinidad and Tobago, she moved to the United States, where she began constructing a life that allowed her to live more openly as herself. New York's ballroom community became particularly important. Jackson found belonging within a culture created largely by Black and Latino LGBTQ+ people who had often been rejected elsewhere. She became known in ballroom circles as Tyra Allure Ross and built a reputation through modeling, performance, and house culture long before mainstream television audiences knew her name. Her life changed dramatically when she was cast as Elektra Abundance, later Elektra Wintour, in FX's Pose. Elektra was glamorous, intimidating, ambitious, and often brutally direct, but beneath that commanding exterior was a woman fighting for security in a society offering transgender women very little protection. Jackson transformed the character into one of the series' most unforgettable personalities. The transcript correctly connects Jackson's career to Pose, ballroom culture, modeling, and transgender advocacy. She has also appeared in projects including American Gods and American Horror Stories. At 51 in 2026, Jackson's life looks dramatically different from the uncertainty surrounding her younger years. But treating her story merely as a surprising physical transformation would miss its emotional core. The real transformation was survival becoming visibility. The young person who struggled to find acceptance eventually became an internationally recognizable actress, portraying the very community that once provided her refuge. Through Elektra, Jackson brought ballroom confidence into millions of homes and helped ensure that transgender women of color were no longer invisible within mainstream television. Isis King. At 40 years old in 2026, Isis King has spent nearly 2 decades challenging assumptions about who belongs in fashion and on television. Born in Maryland in 1985, King was assigned male at birth and later transitioned. Her journey eventually intersected with reality television in an unexpected way, one that would turn her into a groundbreaking figure in American pop culture. Before becoming a contestant, King actually appeared in the background of a photo shoot during Cycle 10 of America's Next Top Model. At the time she was participating in a shoot involving homeless young people. Producers noticed her and she was subsequently invited to audition for the competition. In 2008, King entered Cycle 11 and became the first openly transgender contestant in the history of America's Next Top Model. Her presence generated enormous attention. She faced questions and reactions from fellow contestants while simultaneously trying to prove herself as a model. Although she was eliminated before the final stages, the cultural impact of her appearance lasted far longer than her time in the competition. King later returned for America's Next Top Model All-Stars in 2011, demonstrating that her first appearance had not been merely a television novelty. The transcript accurately identifies her participation in the franchise as a significant moment for transgender representation. Her career subsequently expanded beyond modeling. King moved into acting and appeared in projects including When They See Us, Shameless, and With Love, while continuing to speak publicly about transgender representation. Her then and now story illustrates just how much the entertainment landscape has changed since 2008. When Isis King first entered Top Model, an openly transgender contestant was treated as unprecedented television. Today, transgender models and actors have considerably greater visibility. King helped open that door before Hollywood had fully realized it needed opening. Angelica Ross. At 45 years old in 2026, Angelica Ross has built a career that reaches far beyond acting. Born in Kenosha, Wisconsin in 1980, Ross was assigned male at birth and has spoken publicly about understanding her gender identity while young. Her path toward living openly as a woman was complicated by family tensions and financial uncertainty, and long before Hollywood discovered her, she had to find ways to create independence for herself. Ross gradually developed skills in technology and business experiences that eventually inspired her to establish Transtech Social Enterprises in 2014. The organization was created to provide transgender and gender non-conforming people with practical training and employment opportunities, particularly within technology. It demonstrated something important about Ross: visibility alone was never enough. She wanted to help create economic opportunities behind that visibility. Acting eventually introduced her to a much larger audience. Ross appeared in the digital series Her Story before achieving her breakthrough as Candy Ferocity in FX's Pose. Candy could be confrontational and vulnerable in equal measure, and her storyline became one of the show's most emotional explorations of the dangers faced by transgender women of color. The original transcript correctly highlights Pose and Transtech as central chapters in Ross's public journey. Ross later joined American Horror Story 1984 and American Horror Story double feature, expanding her visibility beyond explicitly transgender-centered narratives. She has also remained outspoken about politics, discrimination, and representation within entertainment. For a then and now story, Angelica Ross offers far more than a physical transformation. Her evolution stretches from a young person struggling to establish stability to an actress, entrepreneur, and public advocate with an international platform. The face audiences recognize from Pose represents only one chapter. Ross's larger achievement has been turning difficult personal experiences into opportunities for others, proving that transformation can mean not only becoming visible, but helping an entire community become harder to ignore. T.S. Madison. At 48 years old in 2026, T.S. Madison has traveled one of the most unconventional paths to mainstream recognition on this list. Born in Miami, Florida in 1977, Madison is a black transgender woman who built her public identity largely outside Hollywood's traditional system. Instead of waiting for established television executives to give her permission to be visible, she used the internet to build an audience on her own terms. Madison became widely known through viral online videos, where her booming voice, fearless humor, and larger-than-life personality made her instantly recognizable. Her adult entertainment background was also part of her early public career, something she has discussed openly, rather than allowing others to define that history for her. Over time, however, her platform expanded considerably beyond the environment where she first attracted attention. In 2015, Madison released the memoir A Light Through the Shade, an autobiography of a queen. Her increasing popularity eventually led to Watch the T.S. Madison Experience on WeTV in 2021, making her one of the rare Black transgender personalities to headline a reality television series centered on her own life and career. Mainstream entertainment continued opening its doors. Madison appeared in A Won't Zola That and became a recurring presence within the RuPaul's Drag Race universe, including serving as a rotating judge. In 2023, she appeared in Disney's live-action Haunted Mansion, another indication of how dramatically her professional world had expanded. Her then and now transformation is therefore especially striking. Madison went from creating uncensored independent content online to occupying spaces in television and major studio entertainment that once offered virtually no visibility to Black transgender women. Yet she never completely abandoned the personality that built her audience. That may be the most important part of her journey. T.S. Madison didn't achieve mainstream acceptance by becoming quieter or less recognizable. Instead, mainstream culture gradually moved closer to her. Peppermint. At 46 years old in 2026, Peppermint has spent years moving between drag performance, music, television, and Broadway while openly discussing her identity as a transgender woman. Born in 1980 and raised in Delaware, she developed a passion for performance early and eventually became a fixture of New York City nightlife, building her reputation long before television introduced her to millions. Her career changed dramatically in 2017, when Peppermint competed on Season 9 of RuPaul's Drag Race. She entered the competition as an openly transgender woman and ultimately reached the finale, finishing as runner-up to Sasha Velour. Her presence was significant because transgender contestants had often faced complicated visibility within the franchise's earlier years, but Drag Race was not the final destination. In 2018, Peppermint made Broadway history by originating the role of Pythio in Head Over Heels. The production made her the first openly transgender woman to originate a principal role on Broadway, an achievement that extended her influence beyond reality television and nightclub performance. Music has remained another important part of her identity. Peppermint has released original recordings and continued performing while also appearing in television projects and public discussions surrounding LGBTQ+ representation. Her career demonstrates how several different performance traditions, drag theater, pop music, and television, can exist within one artist's journey. For this video, it is especially important not to confuse drag performance with transgender identity. They are not the same thing. Peppermint happens to be both a drag performer and a transgender woman, and she has spoken openly about that distinction. Her then and now journey, therefore, isn't simply about outward appearance. Peppermint went from building a following in New York nightlife to standing on a Broadway stage and reaching an international television audience. The transformation viewers can see is only part of the story. The greater change is how much larger the stage became. Hailey Sahar. At 38 years old in 2026, Hailey Sahar is best known to millions as Lulu Abundance from Pose, but her journey began long before FX brought ballroom culture into mainstream television. Born in Los Angeles, Sahar is a Black transgender actress, singer, and performer whose experiences within ballroom culture eventually became part of the authenticity she brought to the screen. Sahar has spoken publicly about her gender journey and about navigating life as a transgender woman of color. As a young performer, she became connected with the ballroom community, an environment historically important to Black and Latino LGBTQ+ people. She competed within that world and developed the confidence, movement, and performance instincts that would later become valuable professionally. Television provided increasingly visible opportunities. Before Pose, Sahar appeared in the acclaimed series Transparent and the television drama Mr. Robot. But her breakthrough came in 2018, when she joined Pose as Lulu Abundance, initially part of the House of Abundance, before becoming involved with the House of Ferocity. The role carried special significance because Pose was not simply borrowing transgender stories while excluding transgender performers. Sahar worked alongside actresses including Michaela J. Rodriguez, Dominique Jackson, India Moore, and Angelica Ross, helping create one of television's largest ensembles of transgender actors. Sahar later took on another ambitious challenge, portraying transgender pioneer Sir Lady Java in the television project Equal. The role connected one generation of Black transgender visibility with another, reminding audiences that these stories existed long before contemporary Hollywood began paying attention. Her then and now journey is therefore a story of expanding possibility. The younger Hailey Saher entered spaces where transgender performers often had to fight simply to be recognized. The actress audiences know today belongs to a generation that helped change those expectations. She didn't merely appear in a groundbreaking television series, she became part of the reason the breakthrough mattered. Amia Scott. At 38 years old in 2026, Amia Scott has built her public career through beauty, social media, reality, television, and acting. Born in Manhattan in 1988 and raised in New Orleans, Scott was assigned male at birth and has spoken publicly about beginning her transition during her teenage years. Her journey eventually made her one of the most recognizable Black transgender personalities to emerge during the social media era. Before scripted television brought wider recognition, Scott developed a substantial online following. Her fashion, makeup, and glamorous presentation attracted audiences at a time when transgender women, particularly Black transgender women, were still rarely represented prominently in mainstream entertainment. That visibility eventually caught television producers' attention. Scott became associated with The Real Housewives of Atlanta during production of its 8th season. She filmed material for the program but ultimately decided not to continue as a regular cast member, later explaining publicly that the situation did not reflect the direction she wanted for herself. A much more significant opportunity arrived through Lee Daniels's Fox musical drama Star. Beginning in 2016, Scott portrayed Cotton Brown, the transgender daughter of Carlotta Brown, played by Queen Latifah. Unlike a brief reality TV appearance, Star gave Scott the opportunity to develop a fictional character across multiple seasons. The casting carried historical significance. Scott became one of the first openly transgender actresses to portray a transgender series regular on American scripted television, contributing to an important shift toward allowing transgender performers to tell transgender stories. She later expanded her public profile through writing, entrepreneurship, and beauty-related projects. Scott's then and now story is therefore not simply a comparison of photographs from different periods. Her larger transformation happened in opportunity. A teenager searching for the freedom to live authentically eventually became a performer seen in homes across America. And instead of allowing reality television to determine her story, Amia Scott chose a different path and helped make transgender representation on scripted television more visible in the process. From Laverne Cox breaking barriers on television to Michaela J. Rodriguez making awards history, these 10 remarkable lives reveal how dramatically visibility has changed over the years. Janet Mock found power behind the camera, while Dominique Jackson, Isis King, Angelica Ross, T.S. Madison, Peppermint, Hailey Saher, and Amia Scott each carved out spaces that once seemed almost impossible to reach. Their journeys are about far more than physical transformation. They are stories of ambition, resilience, identity, and changing opportunities in entertainment. But now we want your opinion. Whose journey surprised or inspired you the most, and why? Share your thoughts respectfully in the comments, like this video, and subscribe to Remembered Lives channel for more powerful stories about unforgettable lives and legacies.